What up, one and all? Thank you so much for tuning into the Pause Run Play podcast. This is actually our first episode that we've ever done remotely. So we're all in different segments of the world, primarily due to the fear of the coronavirus, the next greatest horror film coming out your way, 2021.
Pretty much.
I'm so sorry, everyone. I shouldn't make that joke. It's probably too soon. But we got Josh and Vince. Josh, how you doing, man?
What is up, guys? Super glad to be here. Sorry if my audio quality is not as high as the others. I'm cheap and bought a cheap microphone. So take that.
We're figuring out all the kinks to this, so hopefully in the next few episodes we'll make it sound good again.
Vince, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Sorry I missed the last 2 episodes. I guess just to update people on what's going on, my life is being turned around completely. Me and my wife are actually moving out to Austin, Texas here in the next month or so. And so I've been frantically looking for a new job out there. And it's kind of appropriate that we're learning how to run all this mic stuff online, because whether or not the coronavirus is here, we got to figure it out eventually. So here we are.
It's true. Vince, have you guys found a cool place down there yet, or are you guys just kind of winging it?
Oh, no. We're pretty lucky because her new job, they're setting us up in an apartment for 3 months while we house hunt and do all that kind of stuff. So we got to sell our house here in Utah. And then after we get all that taken care of, then we got to find a house down there or an apartment or something. It's a whole thing, and I'm not stressed out at all about it. That's a lie. I'm extremely, extremely stressed.
We are Vince's relief from this.
We've just chosen the perfect time to move out. We started figuring it out before this whole coronavirus really turned into a thing. And now that the coronavirus is like fully hit, we're all like in-house on lockdown. It's just like, nobody's hiring. Nobody's hiring. Oh, a single tear runs down my cheek.
I'm sorry for laughing at your misfortune in that way. This is like
it's
a crazy
fine.
time, though.
Yeah, I'm actually really lucky. My job that I currently have is really understanding, and they're happy to have me as long as I can stay. So I'm really lucky that they're willing to work with me.
That's good.
Yes, we are.
It's good to have people who appreciate you and are willing to work with you. I can always appreciate a good workplace like that. Just so you guys know, I have some funny what I've been watching lately. So I don't know. You guys ready to kind of dive into this?
Kick it off, Case.
Do it.
Kick it off. Welcome one, welcome all to the What We Were Watching this week's segment of our podcast. This week has kind of been a fun one. I know like not a lot of folks like these films, but my wife and I actually sat down and watched the first Purge, or The Purge. Then we watched The Purge Anarchy. Then we watched Purge Election Year. So yeah, really into The Purge right now for some reason, but also it was the dates of the actual Purge. And it was kind of crazy just to be chilling inside and be like, oh, we're watching The Purge. What an apt time. On lockdown,
Casey is
watching
on The Purge.
Exactly. It was binging on The Purge. And then I downloaded this app this week, which is Funimation Now. You can get a 2-week free trial with it, but you can watch anime. And I started rewatching Dragon Ball Z. And I'm loving it so much. And my wife,
that's all I know.
Exactly. I just like started from episode 1, and I'm already halfway through the first season. And I'm like, I'm still gonna have like 8 to 10 hours a day where I literally am sitting at a computer in my house, talking to no one else but like people who call in or people who work with my work and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm gonna have plenty of free time to watch about anything here. So Dragon Ball Z in it up, guys. Woo-hoo.
I never got into Dragon Ball when I was growing up. So I had friends that liked it, but I didn't get like satellite or cable TV until I was in high school. So those kind of shows I missed out completely on.
Oh, yes, you did. That's all I have to say.
I tried to get into Dragon Ball once like I was able to get a hold of it, and I just don't get it, guys. I'm sorry. That'll like drop my nerd cred down like crazy.
Yep, officially your nerd cred has been dropped so far.
Down to 77.
Womp womp.
But what about you, Josh or Vince? What have you guys been watching?
I guess I'll go because I literally only have one. I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And besides Onward, which I rewatched parts of again for the episode, I have only been watching Better Call Saul. I have binged to get to. I am almost caught up with where it actually is on the TV series because it's midway through season 5. Like episode 6 premieres tomorrow, I think. And I just finished like episode 2. So I've just been Better Call Sauling it up. It is amazing. And even though I knew it was amazing, I never knew how many like Critics' Choice TV and Emmy Awards that both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul have won. Like, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are a couple years where they won both of the Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor categories. So both like Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul would win for Breaking Bad. And then I know for sure one of the first years and maybe one of subsequent years, I don't know, Bob Odenkirk and Jonathan Banks won Best TV Drama Actor and Best TV Drama Supporting Actor. So freaking crazy. It's so good. I love it.
Are you still in season 1 or have you moved past that?
No, I'm in season 5.
Oh, well, phew.
I guess I've been binging. It's the only thing I've been watching.
You're past me then. I thought it started out really slow. I didn't really love season 1, but once it started to get into the Gus Frame stuff, that show takes off and it gets good.
It goes crazy, man. It's great.
Yeah, that's cool that you went right from Breaking Bad into Better Call Saul like immediately.
So, if anyone has seen, because this will not be spoilers at all, but if anyone has seen Breaking Bad and is like hesitant to watch Better Call Saul, don't be, because not only is it very good and has the same very deep character development, it's such an interesting way of storytelling because not only do you get to like look at the characters and see what they're going to do, also a lot of the storytelling that is very interesting, you get a different perspective on since you know part of the future, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's different points where it's like, hey, this character is going to try to kill this character, but you're like, wait, you know that can't happen because that character exists in the future of the show. And so you're like, what is happening? Why can't this happen? So it's crazy.
Love like when freaking Tuco shows up and you're like, oh, why is Tuco back?
Yeah. Like freaking Tuco's back, and then we get to see Hector Salamanca again before he's
I need to jump back into the show. It's so good.
It's crazy. It's so good. So I have something called AMC Premiere, which is like AMC's streaming service, kind of, that you have to do if you have cable, which unfortunately I have to have through my apartment complex. So for like $3 a month, I added AMC Premiere so that I can watch the current season's episodes of Better Call Saul and The Walking Dead. So
awesome.
That's me.
A couple weeks ago, we did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle episode with your friend Casey and Boss, right? Jeremy, was that his name, if I remember right? Jeremy recommended that we watch that Mythic Quest show on Apple TV with Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it's one that I've been meaning to get around to watch, and I didn't realize had come out yet. So last night, when we were supposed to be watching this movie, I put on episode 1 of Mythic Quest instead. And before I knew it, I had watched the entire first season, everything that's available of the show in one evening.
Wow.
And it's guess what? It's actually pretty good. It kind of starts off a little rocky at the beginning where I'm like, I don't really know if I'm going to love this. It has a lot of like call outs to real world websites and stuff. And it kind of felt pandering a little bit to the gamers. And so I was like, oh, is this going to be pandering to us or whatever? But by episode 5, which is easily the best episode, it actually takes off and gets pretty entertaining and funny. Episode 5 is a standalone episode that kind of, I think it'll have something to do with later episodes, but episode 5 is a episode contained within itself. It's basically like a short film about a video game designer who meets a girl in a video game shop. They fall in love, get married, and start making video games together. And And then it's just like their life from the late 80s to the modern 2010s. And it's starring, I think his name's Jake Johnson. I know him better as Nick Miller, my hero.
Nick Miller from the streets of Chicago.
Yeah, he stars in that episode. And also it's got the girl from the Star Trek episode of Black Mirror. I don't remember her name.
Christina
mom?
Milioti,
Yeah, sure.
the mother in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, her. So it's got
Christina
the two of them.
Totally, I think, actually. Sorry.
Gotcha. It's got the two of them. It's the only episode they appear in the entire first season, but it's just so well. Like, I would even say if you don't even want to watch the entire series, just watch that episode and be ready to be very impressed. And this is coming from the guys. I mean, I shouldn't say this is like a crazy thing because It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is so good, but like that episode is directed by Rob McElhenney, who plays Mac and Sonny, who plays like one of the main characters in this show. And also apparently Charlie Day is very heavily involved in the show, even though he doesn't like act in it. Like, It's good, guys. It's worth checking out. It was very entertaining. I'm kind of sad that I finished it already.
Well, now I want to watch it. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's worth it. It's worth checking out, man.
I don't know. I'm looking for something new. I'm actually like debating on whether or not to rewatch Mad Men right now for the 7th time.
Who needs to try new things?
Yeah, who needs to try new things? But also, there's a couple of like series that I've seen online that people are saying you really need to go and watch. One of them is, now that I like opened my mouth and said, "Oh, people have been telling me this," I get a huge brain fart. But I still haven't watched The Mandalorian, which a number of my friends have told me I really need to watch.
Me neither, Vince. I'm sorry.
Shame. Neither of you guys have? Oh, phew.
I'm on episode 2. The Letter for the King looks interesting. It's about knights, kind of stuff I enjoy. And then also, I've been watching Ugly Delicious because I'm getting up to that season 2 life. But what is this thing that everyone told me to watch? Yeah, if I find it, I'll bring it up later.
Cool.
But yeah, no. So should we dive into this? Should we kind of get going on this week's film?
Yeah, let's do it. You want to start with some movie stats? Movie info?
Yeah. So just so everyone knows, we're actually watching Onward, and we're talking about Onward, which is a great film released by Disney Pixar, right? Unfortunately, it was released right before the plague hit, and so literally, I think it killed its theatrical release, essentially. And so what Pixar and Disney have done is they've done an early release of this film. I know that, Josh, you bought it on Amazon, right?
Yeah. So they did an early release for the digital, so you can buy the digital copy right now, but it's also releasing on Disney Plus in a couple weeks on April 3rd. So if you're cool with waiting a week or so, which is, pretty easy. I just wanted to own it because I love Pixar, and it was $20 to own this Pixar movie, and so we could do it. It was a good deal for me. And so, but then if you just want to wait a couple weeks, it'll be out on Disney Plus on April 3rd. So you can check it out there as well, which is a really cool move by Disney because they have realized that they either do some sort of weird re-release after this all happens, or they just cut their losses and let everyone enjoy the great movie that it is now on Disney Plus. So,
and maybe make a little bit of money back on that $20 price tag.
Is it still in the theater right now, or is it they just take it completely out?
Yeah, I mean, it's still in the theaters.
Still in the theaters. Open. Yeah, I don't know if there are any more open.
Are any theaters open anymore?
I think there are.
Oh,
I can check. I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, Josh, thanks for purchasing it so that we could all watch it. I'm not going to lie to you. I was kind of like bummed out that I got freaked out by what's going on, and now I'm stuck in my house. And so thank you. But yeah, Vince, do you have some stuff?
Yeah, let's jump into it. So, Onward, made by Disney's Pixar. Is it Disney Pixar?
Disney Pixar Disney, I don't know.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I saw some kind of fun fact on IMDb that said this is the first Pixar movie or one of the Pixar movies who doesn't have Disney in front of it or something, and I got all confused. Not important. So it's directed by Dan Scanlon, also written by him, Keith Budin, and Jason Headley. It came out March 6, 2020, with a budget of around 175 to 200 million. Gross so far worldwide is at 103 million. Again, we talked about probably why it hasn't made any money than that, because all the theaters are closed. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a critic score of 87% and an audience score of 95%, and IMDb has given it a 7.6. The movie is starring Tom Holland as Ian Lightfoot, Chris Pratt as Barley Lightfoot, Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Laurel Lightfoot, Octavia Spencer as the Manticore, and Mel Rodriguez as Colt Bronco. Do you know who Mel Rodriguez is? Okay, no. I didn't either. I had to Google search him. Did either of you guys watch The Last Man on Earth?
Yes.
Okay, you know the big guy in it, the big fat guy, the very cuddly, like with the mustache guy?
Yes.
That's Mel Rodriguez. And like once you point that out, it's like, oh, I recognize that voice.
Yeah, I was trying to pinpoint it, and I was like having a hard time figuring it out. So
if you want to see something cool, Google search him at some point, just Mel Rodriguez, and look at his most current picture. The dude has lost a ton of weight, and he's almost unrecognizable. It's crazy. Good for him. Like the guy, he's entertaining. He's also in an episode of Community. He plays one of the security guards that hires Ben Chang as the security guard.
Okay, then I know who it is now.
Holy cow, this guy is practically not the same human at all.
Right? He's like a third of the size he was.
Holy freak. Congratulations, buddy.
I forgot to say, this Mythic Quest show, the guy who played Danny Pudi, who plays Abed Nadir in Community, is in it. And
I've seen him tweeting about it.
It's really weird though, Josh, because like I've been rewatching Community during the whole lockdown too.
As you should.
And going from seeing Abed as this kind of like robotic, like quirky kid to the guy who he plays in Mythic Quest. He plays the marketer or the guy in charge of the game, the financing department. And he's kind of like this dick of a guy, you know, and he's just very much like the opposite of everything Abed is. And it's jarring to go back to back to see that. It's so weird.
That would be pretty strange.
Yeah, you guys have been texting Community references back and forth, and I have felt in the dark the whole time. I'm like, what?
It's just our silent plea for you to just do your due diligence and watch it.
Get back into that. And I know, Josh, you said that the year of the gas leak isn't that bad. You're right. But once it gets back to what Dan Harmon with season 5, it's just, you're back to it. Like you're watching season 4 and you're like, this isn't bad. And then it gets to season 5 and you're just like, oh, this is
so much better. The repiloting episode is so good. Mm-hmm. The first one in season 5, amazing.
And sorry, I've gone on a tangent here. I apologize, but I just got to shout out the Floor is Lava episode. Oh my gosh.
It's good.
So good.
Not only is it one of their classic like enter into another realm episodes, but it also is like a bit of a tearjerker there towards the end. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
Chairwalkers attack! Oh!
You guys are missing out on quality video Onward here.
Do we want to record this, by the way, on Zoom?
I'm gonna throw it up here in a second.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
No worries.
So anyway, we're talking about Onward, though, not Community.
Any other fun facts about Onward that I'm missing out on?
No, I didn't. I also didn't recognize that Julia Louis-Dreyfus was the mother. Played Laurel in it. It's her second outing in Pixar. The first one was A Bug's Life. She played the queen or the princess, I'm pretty sure, in A Bug's Life. So good to have her back.
Hey,
yeah.
I love her. She's great.
Welcome back to the colony. Oh, great. Well, let's dive into this a little bit and let's kind of see where we go with this. Do either of you guys have a place you'd like to start with this one? I personally loved it. I'm not going to lie to you.
Let's start with just like our first reactions, kind of a spoiler-free review, how we all liked it, whether or not we liked it.
Yeah. So, do you want me to go first? Who wants to lead this as we go?
Sorry, there's my wife taking the dog out.
Gotta go when you gotta go. I'll just start. So, legitimately, for me, I was very surprised this film, and I loved all the fun about it. Like, it was a D&D player's paradise. I will give it that. And also, I thought that the pairings of the voice actors, obviously Chris Pratt and Tom Holland, did amazing in this. And I thought that Pixar did a great way of animating who we know them as in real life in ways too, like the characters they played. So it was just an all around awesome and a good time. So I would recommend the show to anyone who wants to have a good watch.
It was very cool because, sort of like you just said, with seeing them like as the characters we know them as, seeing Chris Pratt as sort of like a chubbier, like funny but kind of awkward dude is kind of who we knew him as, especially in Parks and Rec. And so even though he's not really that guy anymore, just his voice and with who he's played in the past, it seemed like he could still be that. And so it was really fun to see him play that same character. And his character is very different than what I thought it was going to be from the commercials, because it seemed like he was going to be like this, even though, he had like this van that was kind of weird and stuff. He seemed like he was going to be very cool. And these brothers, who the older one was going to be cool and sort of showing the younger brother the ropes, when most of the time it was, not a spoiler, just the younger brother kind of being embarrassed of his older brother doing all these different things. And so it was very different, but they play off each other so well. Obviously they have the connections with the Avengers and everything like that. And there's just so many fun Easter eggs, and it's a tearjerker, and it's just beautiful. And the music is amazing, and everything that Pixar has done is great. If you remember, or if you listen to our rankings episode, Onward made it into my top 10 at number 6. So that should tell you how I feel about it.
I couldn't agree more. It's so fun to see Chris Pratt back as the chubby, clumsy guy again. I mean, good for him for like turning his health around and everything and becoming like America's number one man, But it's so fun to see him, even if it's just an animated version. It's so much to see him back to his like chubby, clumsy, fun, happy, playful self. I loved the movie. It, like you said, it touches on emotions. It's a movie made for, like you said, Casey, Dungeons and Dragons nerds, which I wish I could say I was, but I played like Warcraft and stuff on the computer. That's as close, and Neverwinter Nights, that's as close as I really got to D&D. I've done a couple of campaigns with some people, but never got like super into it. But it was just so much fun to get into that fantasy world and kind of this new idea of what a fantasy world could be. With the unicorns being like the raccoons, and just like trolls just hanging out in the high school with him. And I don't know, it's just really creative. And I really liked also how they justified magic disappearing in the world. Just the idea that, magic is really hard and people are lazy. And as soon as they found out an easy way to make magic, quote unquote, make magic through technology, they just leaned into that and just lost what made them the world great in the first place. Really cool idea.
Sorry to interject. I did also watch Warcraft, the movie, the other day, and it was just as good as the first 10 times I've seen it. I just have to let everyone know that movie deserved better. I just need everyone to know that right now.
I want to rewatch. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh, well, I bought it when you texted it to me and told me about it. So you can watch it anytime. But yeah, anyhow, I think that's all really great. I think it's very apt spoiler-free reviews of this film. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the spoiler zone now. So let's do it.
All right.
Spoilers.
So my first thing I have to say, why does everyone have such good-looking hair in this movie? Am I the only one who noticed that?
Do you mean like animation-wise, or just their hairstyles are great?
Both. The animation's incredible on it. The movement on the hair looks great, but like Ian's, I'm so jealous of Ian's hair in this movie. He's got such a full friggin' head of hair, and me in my almost mid-30s with my slowly balding head on top was just through the entire movie just jealous, just coveting that head of hair. His mom had a great hairdo going on. Even Barley had a nice haircut going underneath his beanie. I was just jealous of everyone's hair in this.
They did a good job with it. I was very impressed, actually. That was one thing I was going to bring up that I kind of forget about all the time is Pixar, they legit hire people just to do hair details on people, don't they? Like, that's all they do is just
I'm sure
details
they do,
with hair.
yeah. Even like when they fell in the water and they got out of the water, you could see like it looked wet and drippy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cool side note. I was just the first thing I noticed as soon as the movie started going on. I was just like, "Holy crap! Look at those guys' hair."
Such luscious animated hair. No, it was good. Josh, what about you? What did you like pick up most on this film as kind of like you watched it and you were like, wow, this is what I love about this. This is why it made my number 6 of all time Pixar films.
So obviously it is very, very fun. And the adventure that they go on and the tale of two brothers who, even though they are very different people, and that's very apparent throughout the entire film, and they quarrel and they really are just trying to find out a way to get through this quest while satisfying both of their wants as far as like what they want to do, both with their father as well as like as how to achieve that end goal of bringing him back. Where obviously partway through the film, Ian realizes that even though they're not very the same, they're obviously very important to each other. And so it's a great Pixar story because Pixar stories always have great themes and have everything that they want to do, like to kind of spread that across. And so the tale of brotherly love with the action and adventure, as well as the music, was very subtle, but also very good. Just made it excellent. Just such an amazing Pixar film for me.
I didn't really notice the music in this one. I'll have to go back and throw on a playlist or something.
I just remember the Valkyrie's song when he goes and like
The
sends
Valhalla
his band.
song.
Yeah, Valhalla song. Sorry, I was like, I love this right here. He like sticks the rock on like the accelerator and like boom, gone. And that
the
was
tires
a beautiful
pop and you get the galloping sound.
Yes, that was it. I was like, this is awesome. So that was where I sat with it all. It's kind of like that's a pretty good. I'm down with that. So
Barley's van was such a callback to like what late 80s, early 90s. You know, it reminds me immediately of that movie Fanboys, where they're going to travel across to California to watch episode 1 of Star Wars, where he has that same exact van and they're just go on this road trip and they're just putting in all Rush all the time, you know, going with that metal or like classic rock. You got that big mural painted on the side of the van. Like the van was a character in itself in this show. Like you guys said, like it was their horse, it was their Pegasus, their steed, you know, and even that ended up being one of my favorite characters of the movie.
Yeah, I love the van in this. That was something like it took me back to like remembering my friends who like had the cool cars that we actually wanted to hang out with, even though those things were like beaters. And you're like, this is the coolest ride ever. And you're still just kind of like, we want to be in here. I never had a friend with a great mural on his van, but boy, do I wish I did have a friend. Huh?
It could be you.
Casey will be that friend.
Out of the three of us, you look the closest to what Barley could be. In that, like, beanie. You kind of got that Viking look, that old like Norse mythology thing going. All you need is a big old van with a mural painted on the side.
What would I put on my van if I had a large van with a mural on it? Obviously, it would be a Marvel Studios dedicated to the 3 Thor films.
No, it would be you.
Have June on the side with wings.
Yep. It would be you and your wife, and you would be shirtless like Arnold Schwarzenegger style, holding like a big old blade pointed in the air. And then June would be your trusty dog at your side, your dire wolf there ready to fight on.
Oh, and also I loved the parking tickets flying out of the side at that point.
Looking like the wings.
Actually, I have one parking ticket in my car right now that I need to pay, so there's that.
You have to start parking illegally some more often.
If I ever get to drive anywhere again. No, that's a pretty good representation of what I wish my life actually was like. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. But
I gotta agree with you, Josh. The focus on the family in this movie was such I don't know, it hit home a lot. My family is very important to me. My dad, I'm lucky enough to be able to say that my dad is my best friend, is one of my best friends, you know, like I talk to him, every other day probably, whether it be through text or calling him or whatever, and we just give each other crap, and I don't know, I'm so close to him. I can't imagine what it was like for someone who never got that chance, and just lived their life just wanting that so bad, just wanting to have that one memory to do those things that everyone else is doing. The Dan Scanlon, who I'm pretty sure he was the one, he wrote it and directed the movie. There's a quote that I found of his, who said, basically this is just what's on IMDb. It said, according to the director Dan Scanlon, who lost his father at a very young age, the film is inspired by the question he's always asked, who was my father? And it's really cool, the direction that they took the movie, going from, the shoes of Ian, who wants to meet him so bad, who wants to like I said, just to get one memory or whatever, and then get to the end of the movie and have him realize that, he didn't have a father, but he had an older brother who took him under his wing and did everything that a father could do for him. And then learning, that twist. Did you guys see that twist coming?
No, not at all. Ugh.
No.
And you can't even. Why are you talking about this early, Vince? I thought I was just gonna cry about it, and we could turn it off before all the tears fell out of my body. Just
we could definitely get to that later. I couldn't believe how well the story was told and how enjoyable the adventure was in the process of getting there. And how unique it was. I remember I listened to your episode last week about Pixar and how they take these ideas, these original ideas, and make something incredible out of them. And I'm so happy that Pixar is getting back to that. It seems like, instead of just making remakes or making sequels over and over again, instead of a fourth and fifth Toy Story, we're actually getting back into original worlds and creative ideas. And it's great.
And it is great. Makes me super excited for Soul coming out this summer as well. So pretty pumped for that. Did you guys notice any Easter eggs that you wanted to go over in the movie? Because there are about 1 million.
Well, I didn't recognize any of the Easter eggs, but I do want to give one hell of a good shout out to all the nerds of the world with Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, with role-playing games and stuff like that. We got served, and it was so worth it. And I think that they did great representation in this film of it. So it might not have been perfect, but it was great, and it made it fun for those of us who've kind of always wandered around and been oh, let's take the long way, the scenic way. It'll get us there. It might be longer, but boy, is it fun to do it this way. And that was something for me that kind of really solidified my interest in this film, and what made it fun. What made it funny is because, oh boy, how fun was this whole thing. So yeah.
I did notice I would assume that it's a call to Lord of the Rings.
It is.
At the beginning when it's explaining the world of magic and how it used to be, and you get this Gandalf looking elf guy walking into a cave and shooting the ceiling and all the rocks crumble down. And I was like, oh, that looks like the Caves of Moria and Gandalf doing his thing. Other than that, I don't think I noticed any other than you're saying, Casey, just some bunch of Dungeons and Dragons references.
Josh, was there more?
Oh my goodness, there were so many. And I only noticed a couple while I was watching it, but then I watched a couple of videos afterwards, recently today. And there are so many Easter eggs, so many so that I watched one that was here's 50 Easter eggs from Onward. And then I watched another one where it was here's 25 things you missed, and only 10 were overlap. And I was holy cow, how many more are there that I don't even know? One of them that's this isn't really an Easter egg, but just sort of a good detail, was when the characters were going through and when they were paying the tolls, it was there were trolls that were collecting the tolls, and it was called the Under the Bridge toll booth, and you could pay in cash or riddle. So they have a lot of good details like that. But as far as actual Easter eggs calling out other things, so Pixar likes to do, number one, they like to shadow their future films in previous films. And so in Toy Story 4, when they're at the carnival, there's a carnival booth or something that has the exact Pegasus as is painted on the side of Guinevere on one of the carnival booths. And so that was sort of their call to what was coming in the future. And there were also, here's a fun fact, is not a Pixar movie, but they had very many references to the fictional tale of Jack and the Beanstalk in this one. They call them Beanpole, and they walk through. There's like places where there are beanstalks going literally to the sky and a ton of stuff. And that's because originally there was meant to be a Disney movie version of Jack and the Beanstalk that was going to be released this summer in June as well. But midway through production, it got scrapped. So
What?
they have a lot of call outs to that, even though it's not actually going to happen. So
That makes me actually incredibly sad because Jack and the Beanstalk seems to get a very poor rep. The last time we got a good Jack and the Beanstalk film was clear back with Abbott and Costello. That was in like the 40s, guys. Just saying. So,
one of the few things that shows up multiple times in this movie, as well as a couple of other ones, there's a restaurant that serves something called the Sword and the Scone, sort of thing, and it's fun. Where Ian goes to get breakfast in the morning is called Burger Shire, because so there's a lot of like Lord of the Rings references, and in the Burger Shire, like when they're approaching it, the sign for it says "Now serving second breakfast." So if you had any doubts that they were trying to call out Lord of the Rings,
there it is.
They are silenced. There's no second breakfast without Lord of the Rings.
We actually have in our kitchen, my sister-in-law, Hope's sister, she sent us for, I can't remember, Christmas or a birthday or something. She sent us a little plaque that is exactly that, breakfast, second breakfast, lunch, dinner, 11Zs or whatever. So we have it hanging in our kitchen upstairs. It's pretty great.
It is excellent.
I love that. That's awesome. That's a nice addition. I did notice that Burger Shire looked an awful lot like an In-N-Out.
No,
the way they ordered it, and then they walk across the thing and sit on that little bench. I was getting major In-N-Out vibes.
It looked more like Burger King, like on the outside to me, but the inside, I guess, was more inside out or in and out, not inside out.
I don't know. Maybe it's different. I haven't been in a Burger King in probably 10 years. No, that's not true. We ate Burger King a lot in Puerto Rico, actually.
And then, of course, there are tons of others, but just so you know, we don't spend the whole time talking about Easter eggs because we probably could. Here's the last few couple ones. The last Pixar one I'm going to do is inside the Manticore's tavern. Like when she's serving up all the food, you get a little glimpse in the kitchen. And in the kitchen, there is a rat who is not exactly like him, but resembles Remy from Ratatouille that's making the food back there, serving it up. And then there are two Marvel references and Easter eggs within the film. The first one is you have Ian, the younger brother, who obviously plays Spider-Man, and he says, I'm going to get my dad back, whatever it takes. And so it's like, whoa, like just kind of that whole whatever it takes thing, which was sort of their whole advertising campaign, as well as, Captain America does say that in Avengers Endgame. They say, we're going to do it, whatever it takes. And not only do they say whatever it takes, they're also working to get those dead people back, kind of like they're doing in this as well. And then the final one is that on Barley's jacket, he has a lot of little pins and stuff. He has like 20 dice and stuff like that for Dungeons and Dragons, but he has a little like red skull, which people are like, oh, it could be like a red skull, because he has a red skull on one side and something that says Hydra on the other, which while it can be very like Dungeons and Dragons, because Hydra is a character in that, they're like, oh, that's cool, as well as there is literally the Infinity Gauntlet is also a patch on his on his jacket. Yeah, I think it's kind of like not as bright with the Infinity Stones because they didn't want to draw attention away because it's there the whole movie, but you can definitely see the gauntlet there on his jacket. So
awesome! I didn't notice
lots
that.
Lots of cool stuff. Way more, obviously, if you are interested in that kind of stuff, just check out. There's tons of YouTube videos out on that already, so go and check it out.
Oh, I'm already looking here, guys. What did you guys think? I have a question. Like, as kind of like these two like progress in their journey, right, and they kind of go out and experience things. What did you think about the growth of the characters around them? Not just their growth, but like them like freeing the other characters and like helping them restore the magic per se. Did you guys enjoy that? That was something I noticed and loved.
That is the perfect segue to easily my favorite part of the entire movie.
Please tell me
I
it's the
loved.
Pixies.
No, they were great. They were funny. I loved the Manticore in this movie. I loved the Manticore restaurant. I loved how she is this just badass half lion, half bat or whatever, half scorpion. I can't remember what she was, who has just been beaten down by corporations and by the government and by, owing taxes and that kind of stuff to be this kind of scared restaurant owner who owns this family restaurant who's just trying to keep people happy and so scared that her restaurant is going to go out of business to the point where she's like, I can't give people quests anymore because if you go out and get hurt, you will come back and sue me.
And Octavia Spencer does a great job. Oh my goodness.
Oh, she kills it. Just everything with the Manticore in this, I absolutely loved her. I thought it was so funny. I loved the stupid little Manticore mascot that's running around the restaurant, just making noises and just acting like her in the background.
I felt like I was watching.
Cracked me up.
I felt like I was watching the possum scene again from the Goofy movie. Just I was like, yo.
Who's your favorite possum?
Who's your favorite Manticore? Oh man,
I love when she rage burns the building down though. Mm-hmm. I have to bring that up. And she rips off the fake Manticore's head and just burns it and then throws it on the table and it's like, restaurant's closed until further notice for remodeling. So I love that.
Oh, it was great. And then throughout the movie, you just realize more and more how awesome she is when she starts just ripping her shirts off and she's got these awesome tattoos on her arms that she's been hiding underneath her sleeves for the kids to be more family friendly. It just turns out she's just this really cool beast, which brings up my question for this movie. How old is that Manticore? And is this map just been passed down generation to generation, or is she immortal and has been alive for a long time and just, the progression of moving from magic to technology, she's seen the progression and just knows better now? Or was this handed down to her?
I'm pretty sure she has to be not immortal, but maybe she lives for forever, or not. That's what immortal is. She lives for at least a really long time because she talked about how she used to be such an awesome, and she would do quests, and she was super fit and all these things. And so I'm pretty sure it's her, the same one, and she looks at herself in the past. It could be different. I don't think it ever specifies per se, but in my opinion, it's definitely got to be the same one.
Okay, that's what I thought too. And that just makes her character so much better to me, that she went from this just awesome, terrifying monster to this pushover and then back to her awesome self again. I love everything with her in it.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the mom? I felt like the mom in this was the true hero, the unsung hero of this. She was there, she was doing it, and she was just full sending it, but she was experiencing her own journey along the way as the boys experienced the journey. And she was obviously a little hesitant, right? But then up until the end, she was going for it. And then you're just seeing this mom with mom life, destroying the freaking dragon. Slay the dragon, mom. You rock. I don't know. I think the mom was a good unsung hero of this as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's... Go ahead, Josh.
No, I was going to say she was definitely great. You see her... That's got to be a really interesting experience for her, because obviously this is a different world than we live in, where magic, even though faded, does exist, where your dead husband can come back to life. And it's such an interesting thing because she wants so bad for her boys to have a positive experience with him and be able to have something like that. It would be incredible, but it's just so different. And so her primary focus, while it is to help the boys to be able to see their father, her primary focus is keeping the family that she has and making sure that they'll have a positive experience. So she she's just the definition of an awesome mom, and she is a mighty warrior doing her Z90X. So, which I didn't notice until the second time. Like, obviously, she's like, "I am a mighty warrior." She yells it when she's fighting the dragon, but then when she's like climbing the dragon to stab it with the sword, she's doing the move that she was doing the Z90X, where she's like hopping from side to side. She's doing that as she's climbing up the dragon. So I thought that was pretty funny and a good callback.
She is such a good mom. Like, through the entire movie, she was nothing but supportive of her kids who are breaking the law, running away from police, just doing all these bad things.
Running away from her boyfriend.
And how lucky is that she's like dating the, I don't know, chief of police, whatever he is, that could get them out of all of these really bad situations that they put themselves in. But
even
like,
when
the
they
whole thing,
specifically ran from him. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, you're good. But even like she's so supportive. She's just worried that they're going to hurt themselves. But like, throughout the whole thing, she's just like saying things like, "Oh, good for them." Oh, he drove. He's got his confidence. Good for him. Like, she's just such a supportive, good mother. You're right, man. She's great.
I freaking love the mom in this, and especially because like I bring up this because I thought that like although the two brothers were like the focus of this film, right? Like taking their half of their dad around with them, right? At least his bottom half. But the mom, like going through and experiencing this and seeing the other characters grow, right? Like we have the Manticore who goes with her, and she kind of like lies to get the Manticore to take along with it, like to go along with her, and then she like along the way they see the pixie and they have to go to the pawn shop and they have to like get the lady to give them the thing, and the Manticore like plunges that lady and she's like, "Oh, I just gave her a mild sedative for a little while, she'll be out for a moment." And like it was just kind of cool to kind of like see like that although like she was on for the journey and like was all in, right, there were times where she's like, "Hold on for a minute, this could be questionable." And it was just really cool. I think that the way they show like I think like you guys said, like the family aspect of this was great, and it really does show like to what ends our parents or those who care for us, our family, will go to the end of the earth for us. And I really like that about this. And then you see like that with the two brothers as well, is when there's that police scene where they're using the magic to pretend to be the boyfriend, right? And then gosh, I just had a brain freeze, sorry. The older brother finds out his younger brother kind of thinks he's a screw up, and then like how they fall apart, yet the whole time he's believing in him, rebuilding him, and like just going forward with that. Like I thought that was a really cool portion of this film. I don't know.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Ian's learning so much. Ian's learning to believe in himself, to get more confidence, to believe in his brother, like you said. Like he goes through a really good story arc as well.
They all do. It's such a hard, like, I don't know, it's such a hard everything, the way that they go through it, because this is such a unique experience, obviously, and Pixar has a way of telling those stories, they build unique worlds which have never been seen before, and they do unique stories that the stories are so unique and they relate to different things, but at the same time, they all relate to us, and we can all see and learn different things from them. And so I just love the brothers' progression throughout the movie, because we've talked obviously about a lot of the other things. The Pixies are great, the mom and the Manticore are all great, but obviously at the heart of this movie, we've got Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, two very different brothers, one loud and, as he explains later, not afraid of anything, and one quiet and timid and just doing his best to be bold, like his father, who he's never met, going on a quest for a single goal, to try and see their father again, even just for one day, because their father meant so much to them, even if you have next to no memories with him or no memories at all. And so it was such a unique experience, and Pixar just did an excellent job, and I just loved what these brothers did, how their relationship grew, and how it passed through various tests to be able to get to the end, where I want to talk about the end in a little bit. Like, we can talk about some points of the quest and the brothers first, but how the end, Ian makes the ultimate sacrifice for what he knows is probably the most important moment in rectifying something in his brother's life. So
like for that kid, and like where we're getting into the sacrifice thing is like, yeah, there are people who need to know a little bit more than you. And like what is his name, Ian, right? The younger brother figures out is, hey, the character and the figure who I needed actually was here, all along. Sorry to spoil the ending, but it's just kind of like a very fast, like interesting thing that like, there are holes for some, but the pieces that others have, they need to be complete at times. And that's what happened in this film, which was very beautiful.
Which is another, I don't think it was meant to be purposeful. They did their own story. They did everything that they were meaning to do, but you could also recognize it as another callback to the Marvel universe in that Chris Pratt is Star-Lord, and in a very similar fashion to this, in Guardians of the Galaxy, his mother gets very sick and she dies, and he is also hesitant to hold her hand in her final moments because she looks so different, and because of the chemo, she's had her head shaved and everything like that. And then she ends up passing away. And in a very similar fashion, like Barley sort of says the same thing, that he's supposed to go in and say goodbye to his father. But he just looked so different, and it didn't seem like him, and he was too scared to. And so he didn't, and he'd always regretted that. And so that was a cool little double Chris Pratt emotional father or parent passing away problems.
It's all also coming together now.
I definitely, I cried for sure. I'm not ashamed at that. You guys know me. I definitely cried at that part of the movie when he was talking about when they were going through the tunnel on their makeshift Cheeto boat.
Yes.
They were going through the tunnel. He talked about it there. The only time where you really see him without his beanie. And then also, of course, at the end, cried. No shame.
Yeah. I shed a few tears in this film as well. So
the first time that this movie really touched me, really on my heart, was when the dad first appears and Barley tells Ian about that memory of playing that little song on his dad's shoe. And it's one of 3 memories he has, it's kind of the same thing as your plate, as soon as he walked over and played that beat on his dad's shoe, and there's no emotion, there's no face that the dad has or anything, but even just the reaction of the dad's feet, recognizing that his son is there and he's seeing his son again, and the son is having that connection that he had through that memory again. It was just oh my heart, it's just that just hits so hard. And that's the first in 3 or 4 different moments where I was just oh my gosh, this is freaking Pixar doing it again to me. Making me feel the feels so hard.
I love, one of my favorite moments is towards the beginning where it sort of starts to get you, is all Ian wants is to have memories with his dad, which is what he gets presented the opportunity with in this quest to try and bring his dad back. So much so that he has that tape of his dad talking, and he does his best to have a memory with him by trying to have a conversation with him, which seems to go well until it's cut short, because even though he's filled in the spaces to make it seem like he's having a conversation with him, at the very end where he's oh, gotta go by, the reality sets back into him that this is just my attempt to do it. Oh gosh, it's so hard, the whole movie. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Because the movie is very fun, and they have a lot of Easter eggs, and the adventure is very cool, and the brothers are very funny, and Tom Holland and Chris Pratt are great. But obviously what brings this movie together and what threw this movie so high on my Pixar list was their main story, their main plot of the 2 brothers bonding together and eventually learning what was meant to be the most important thing for the brothers. And the end, of course, just bringing that all together into one pinnacle moment was beautiful. It was amazing.
Well, mm-hmm. What I really love about this, and what I love about so many Pixar films, is this one especially nailed on the head. It's not the big journey that happens; it's the little moments along the way, right? Like throughout your life, you're never gonna remember everything that happened between you and a parent or you and a sibling, right? Every little thing is not going to be oh yeah, this happened, this happened, this happened. It's just going to be small moments that really help kind of bind and connect you. And maybe let's go back to our episode on Inside Out to talk about those core memories, right? And kind of those things that really make up who we are and how we see the world. And, for these two brothers, like, and their desires to have a relationship with their dad, or, whatever it might be, like, there were just small things along the way where actually the dad was there the whole time. Right. And that's kind of what we get to in the end is, I wish I had this checklist of things I did with my dad, but I actually ended up doing them with my big brother. And, like, it took him a minute to remember those things because he was annoyed at his brother. Like, we took the wrong road. Like, the journey should have been this. It should have been that. It should have been like a variety of things, but it wasn't. Yet we still come with the outcome that we needed, which was, one, we built a better relationship with each other. Two, we most definitely put that little piece into the fountain and it happened, but it wasn't without trial and error, right? And then three, finally, like, the people who, we need most to support us will always be there in the most challenging of times, which is the brother was there, the mother was there, even the random, oh gosh, Manticore lady, and like people from school were all around when this is all happening. And, like, the people who we need will be there for us in the times we need them. And I thought that was a beautiful moment within this film. So beautiful moments, meanings, things.
I'm like tearing up here just like thinking about it, the end of the film where Ian makes the ultimate sacrifice. Not only has he spent his entire life wanting to make memories with his father, he spent the entire course of 24 hours going nonstop with their Weekend at Bernie's dad and brother to try and bring him back so that he could have those moments, even if it was just as time went along, he crossed off the things that they weren't going to be able to get to do. And he does have that moment where he realizes that his brother has been those things for him. And so in the end, what really gets me is he makes that ultimate sacrifice to go and fight the dragon, fight the curse with the school bell roar and everything like that, so that his brother can have that moment. And of course, Pixar, they know how to do it their best with the subtle music in the background, but also just that moment is so beautiful and so heart-wrenching, where after he destroys the curse, there's literally only moments, there's seconds to go until the sun is going to set and the father will be gone, but he's trapped inside this pile of bricks and he can only peek through the holes to see a glimpse of his father at that moment. And it's all that he's ever wanted, is to talk with his dad, to see him. But he recognized how much more important it was for his brother to need to say goodbye, to be able to talk to him. And it just, oh gosh, it kills me. Like, I am literally like tearing up right now just thinking about it, because it was so beautiful the way that they did it, and just, it was incredible. Like, Pixar just keeps outdoing themselves and finding a way to tug on my heartstrings every time. So, I mean, what a way to do it.
They do good. They do good. Well, kind of, I guess, like, let's go ahead and close this one out, maybe. Or do you have any final points you guys want to throw out here?
I just have to like point out a couple more. Sorry, not to disregard the seriousness that we got into or whatever, but like some of the funny moments in this, like the dragon having the school mascot's face was a nice little joke. The pixies being these tiny little like
motorcycle gang
fairies that are like the tough guy motorcycle gang, and you brought up the Weekend at Bernie's moments. I just have to say, holy crap, they did a good job with that, with him like not even purposely showing emotion through this upper half that he has, that just like gives off this appearance of him saying something that no one knows, like reaching out the window and shaking his fists at the fairies or whatever, or like it kind of like falls over and the head looks over to them and it looks like it's kind of, I don't know, just like so many good moments with that.
Like in the gas station when they're like, "You got a problem, buddy?" And he's like,
and it kind of falls over and looks at him. Just like, yes, you guys said the message is really what touches you for this movie, but there's just so many it's such a good comedy. It's such a really good family-friendly, fun movie with a great message at the end.
Can I point out one thing that I think we failed to notice or kind of talk about in this that I think is like for some people, like big whoop, right? But for other people, I think it's really important for this kind of to be known. One of the police officers actually is Pixar's first openly LGBTQ person, like in there, like where she's like, oh yeah, my I don't know if she says my girl or my wife, one of the two,
my
or
girlfriend.
My girlfriend. She's like brings up, she's like, her kids are driving me crazy, you know. And for some of us, like it wasn't necessarily that big of like a thing because like I think like some of us are like that's how it should be, right? That's fair to be represented. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. But for other people, it's going to be a huge, big deal. And the actress they have who voiced it, I forget her name, like Lena Waithe, I think, or something like that.
She's in
Master of None.
Master of None, yeah.
Yeah,
she's so good. I love her. She's in a lot of stuff, actually. Lena Waithe.
Also, yeah. Also, Ali Wong is in this too. Shout out to Ali Wong.
She's her partner, like the police officer is like partner there, and she's like a little satyr, I think, is what she is, or a goat. I don't know, but yeah, I think that like this film was great. Do you guys have any one-liners that you caught that you were like, "That's funny," right there?
I don't know.
If not, it's okay.
I don't have any off the top of my head, yeah.
No, it's all good. I don't have any off the top of my head either. I just know, like we said, like this film was so good and it was so well done. Like it was like a perfect circle. It's everything you need in the perfect basketball. It was like it bounces right, it has a perfect grip on it, and it just helps you shoot good shots. So
this might be
is it like
what?
This might be a 2 on the point question, or on the spot question, sorry, Casey, but if you had to fit Onward into your Pixar rankings, do you think it would have broken your top 10? Because we didn't do anything past 10, but...
Yeah, I think it would have. I don't know where it would sit, but it most definitely deserves to move up, and it's because like it kind of hit home for me a little bit. Like I shed a few tears, like kind of you said, but it had the feels, and it was what... I don't know, like this is kind of weird, but like when I watch movies like this, I think of what it does to me, right? But I also think of what it does for other people. Like I know plenty of kids who grew up without parents. I know people who are just missing people in their lives, right? And like, or people who are looking for a grand adventure to kind of reset their life. With this one, it kind of like, and I guess going back to the Great Cheeto Boat, kind of like taught you like on an adventure could be life. You go with what you have and you use what you have along that way. And the Cheeto Boat, man, that did it for me. Like where it was like this is really like shows you like be scrappy with what you have. And like, it's okay to not have everything together and to be a little bit of a disaster. And yeah, I would say this broke probably my top 5 Pixar films. So.
Wow. Very cool. Vince, I'll be interested to see. We don't have to do an episode about it or anything, but if you ever have any time, I would love to see what your top few Pixar rankings are.
Yeah, I need to sit down and do that, but this is definitely, it would easily be in my top 10. I'm a sucker for kind of father-son type movies like Logan. The whole like father-daughter relationship in Logan was just like really touching to me, and then this touches me. Like I don't know, that relationship I have with my own dad is very important to me, and it just whenever I think about not having that relationship or seeing these situations where like other people were, I don't know, I know how lucky I am, and just thinking about not having that breaks my heart. So I love these kind of movies where I can kind of see this bond that these people are missing, finding this bond with each other. You know, I don't know. It's great. This one's up there in there for me for sure.
I definitely don't judge movies on their ability to make me cry, but if a movie is making me cry, it's usually because they have very strong emotions in place and they've done a really good job about portraying those and really getting the point across in a powerful way. And so going back and thinking about my top Pixar movies, when I'm looking at the list, I'm pretty sure, if not all of them, 5 out of the top 6 definitely have those moments where, if not crying, I'm at least like tearing up during them, you know, and they do such a good job at that.
It's kind of interesting. I never really think of the relationship I have with my dad very heavily, and oh man, I'm feeling really sappy right now, guys. I have a really cool dad, and I think that relationship between a parent and a child is incredibly awesome. Like, yeah, I just have a cool dad, And that guy and I, like, this is kind of really interesting. He and I never really bonded when I was little, just because I was a mama's boy and still am. But my dad and I, as the years have kind of gone on, like I say this and some people will kind of laugh, but I could go on big adventures with my dad and have these really intense, beautiful experiences with him. Like, really, like, there's some of the, the most important memories of my life. And he and I just couldn't hug for a long time. I don't know why. But like, as I've gotten older, like, I'm almost 30. He and I probably in the last half of this decade have learned to kind of like go from like the awkward side hug into like a real hug. And I don't know if it's just because we're weird or if it's just because like our relationship was built differently than other people. But like, what I loved about this was seeing the length that the mother would go for her children, and then the length the kids would go to be with their dad and spend time with their dad. But that dad, like, what he recognized and what he did, even though he was a foot tapper the whole time, and just half of a body. I don't know. You guys have got the sappiness into me today. I might have to go cry out a little bit, but no, I loved it. Like, this film, like, all around, like I said, it broke my top 5, and it was just so, it was good. And like, yeah, it was good. Good job, guys. Good job. Good choice.
Excellent. Very good. Any final thoughts?
I enjoyed this film.
And also, do we know, actually, I probably shouldn't ask that because I don't think we do know what we're watching next week. Never mind.
We don't know what we're watching yet, guys. We will figure that out. We can post a teaser picture. Sorry, I kind of died out this week with posting images and kind of stuff like that. I kind of got a little stir crazy. This week has been like 23 years. It's like, what I felt like about this week was it was like the time when they go down to the water planet on Interstellar, and it's like whoosh, the waves crash on the thing. Yeah. I've waited 23 years, 8 days, and 74 minutes. I don't know, but that's literally how I felt this week, because it was just like the first week of working from home, social distancing. I'm a very social person, so yeah, what an interesting time. So yeah. Anything else from the two of you before we kind of take off?
I just want to shout out our new followers on Instagram. Thank you for following us. And also anybody who's following us over on YouTube. Thank you so much. We had a huge spike over the weekend in viewers and subscribers over there. If you aren't subscribed to our YouTube, we would love your subscription. We really want to hit that 100 so that we can get a personalized URL. That's the goal. Hit the 100 on YouTube.
Yeah.
So thank you. Welcome everybody who's new. Thank you. And yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Josh, anything else before we close out?
Nope. Just be sure, like Casey said, to check us out on our social media. We'll be posting a few things there. And thank you for indulging us these past few episodes as we, enter the world of Pixar and allow them to enthrall our thoughts, our memories, and everything. So.
Oh, and if you haven't looked at the prppodcast.com website in a while, we did a complete redesign. I've had a lot of time inside the house. I had a lot of time working inside the house with the social distancing thing, so I just put a lot of time into just redesigning that, and it's not done yet, but it's getting there. I'd love to know what you guys think about it.
Legit, it looks amazing. Thank you, Vince. And as always, like, really, we appreciate your support, your patronage of listening to us and our words, our thoughts, our deeds, whatever it might be. We are grateful for you. So thank you for tuning in to this wonderful episode on Pixar's Onward. And if you have any other questions, concerns, you want to reach out to us, hit us up on the Instagram. You want to tweet us. You want to call us? Don't. But honestly, thank you so much for tuning into the Pause, Ride, and Play podcast. And we will catch you again next time.